Hi there, everyone. Good afternoon. I am Dr. Gwen from the Dr. Gwen International Training and Empowerment Academy and host of the Dr. Gwen Show, Dr. Gwen Podcast Show on iTunes. And I want to make sure you get that subtle correction because quite recently I was able to change my hosting company and switching from one to the other. The Dr. Gwen Show has now become the Dr. Gwen Podcast Show. Still on iTunes, but I want to make sure you understand that. So for all of the latest broadcasts for the iTunes show will be found on the Dr. Gwen Podcast Show. So be sure you know that. Now, hi Lisa. Today we are going to be talking about parenting, and I know I've interspersed a few of these topics among the conversations as we go. And for those of you who do not know already, I have given you quite a bit about my past. I'm a mother of 6 adult children, 3 of them biological. I love to add that really quickly because people's eyes get really big when they hear 6 children. Yeah, but anyway, raising 6 children at one point in the household was no joke, but it was also, quite frankly, a piece of cake because of strategies and tips that I have learned to utilize throughout the years, not just years in my leadership development and programming, but also years of working with parents and their children throughout decades in the school system. So I was able to vicariously gather some very rich data sources that helped me to have a kind of easier journey with my parenting than quite a few other people have. So now today, my conversation with you is going to be about your parenting and how can you really reinforce positive changes in your kids' lives, and more so than not, how can you impact those changes that will make a difference for a lifetime to come. Now, you may have known this, that I told you I have a book that is actually coming out. And 1 minute, hold on. So, here's my book. It's backwards. It says Single Moms from Striving to Thriving 101 Success Tips. Now, I've had dads read this book. I've had married moms read this book. I've had people with no kids read this book. And the feedback has been completely phenomenal. So this book will be coming out really shortly. I have a copy here that is a proof copy that I'm just reviewing before we pull the plug. There are a couple other things that need to be done. And so later I'm going to leave a link on this broadcast so you can download to be notified. You can sign up to be notified when this book is going to be available so you can get it. In there are 101 success tips. Not just what I learned in my own life raising my kids, some of the mistakes that I made that I've learned from in talking with them afterwards, some of the interviews that I've had with parents and their now adult children as well, and a lot of experiences from my own research and dealing with parents and kids in the school system for more than 30 years. So it's quite a valuable experience, and the topic today is going to talk about the style of parenting and how your parenting style can literally impact the results your kids get in their own personal lives. Now, I have written on this a blog that you can access on my website at thedrgwen.com/blog. And it has some resources there, and that's what I'm going to focus on today. Now, you know, as a mom, and my process here is dealing with mothers, whether you're single moms or married singles or single alone or whoever you are, women are the people that my heart has a great passion for. And any issues relating to making your life more empowering and more successful is what my personal goal and desire is. Now, there's research that have been conducted over decades, for the longest while, that there are basically 4 different styles of parenting. And what I did, I tried to print a reverse chart like I've done in the past for some of my live casts. This one quite did not come out reversed. However, in a moment, I will just show you my model so you can see and talk through it so you can see how it operates. Now, the 4 styles of parenting. Number 1, we talk about the style that is authoritarian. Number 2, we talk about the style that's neglectful. Number 3, the style that's indulgent. And number 4, the style that's authoritative. Now, what do those all mean? Well, for the parent who's authoritarian, basically there are some characteristics. What I'm going to do is outline the characteristics, then I'm going to share with you some of the most recent studies that have been done with other kids and with juveniles, which will give you some very shocking statistics on how you possibly can begin to mold the life of your kids so that the possibility for them to make better choices as they grow up increases. Now, I want to say this as a disclaimer that no matter what you do, you will never be able to guarantee your kids will make the right choice. Oh, I said it. However, the possibility and probability of your kids picking the right choices for their life is increased the more resources that you present and the greater your interaction with them. So, having said that, let's talk about the authoritarian parent. The authoritarian parent is basically that parent that is boss. I'm in charge, okay? I call the shots here. What you have to say is not important. Shut up, don't talk back. You do as I say or you leave. They are very low on showing love consistently. As far as warmth and affection, that is missing for the most part from the relationship. And they don't encourage their kids to speak out and to be assertive. Now, moving to the next level, I think it's probably good for me to show you my chart, which is backwards. But here we see the authoritarian parent here. This block or quadrant is the neglectful parent. Now, with this quadrant, you can see that they are very sporadic with love. In other words, love is not even showing. Their involvement is low. In terms of their being involved in their kids' life, it's very low. Warmth is very low. This neglectful parent is one who is absent. They're not involved in their kids' life. Their kids never ever experience any words of affection or love. They're absent for the most part, just missing, not caring or appearing to care about their kids' well-being. That is the neglectful parent. Now, keep that in mind because I'm going to share some statistics about this to you. The third parenting is the indulgent parent. Now, this parent has a lot of warmth and a lot of affection and love. However, no clear boundaries. They're almost like buddies with their children. They're friends of their children. There's not their parental authority that is established. They give their kids any and everything that they want, and they don't hold their kids accountable. It's just like anything goes. There is some danger to being a parent of this nature as well. And then finally, we have the authoritative parent. Now, the authoritative parent is that parent who is in charge, like the authoritarian parent. However, with the authoritarian parent, there's low love, low warmth. With the authoritative parent, they are warm, they express love, they hold their kids accountable, they allow their kids to be assertive, not to talk back, but to be assertive. They pretty much are in charge, and their kids feel very safe in that type of environment. Now, those are the 4 types of parenting that the studies have unfolded. Now, which one are you? Have you identified which parent you are? Have you? And if you have, here are some statistics to consider. I'm going to reference my notes so I make sure that I don't overlook anything. There was a study that was done with a bunch of juvenile kids from the ages of 14 to 18 years old. And there were about 1,300 kids in this particular study. And what the researchers found is that those who were in the juvenile system, that 49% of those children came from households of neglectful parent. That is the hands-off parent. Look, I'm not giving you any love. I'm not giving you any warmth. I don't care what you do. Just live your life and leave me alone, pretty much, is the essence. 49% of the children came from those households. And get this, 23% came from the indulgent parent household. So there's some danger too in being indulgent. You may be showing love and warmth and affection, but if your kids can run rampant and do whatever they want to do, and you have no clear boundaries and you don't hold them accountable, there are negative side effects for that in your family as well. And also, for the authoritative and the authoritarian parent, there were about 13 to 15% of those kids from those households were found in the juvenile system. Now, I'm not going to interpret that data for you because I think you can make an interpretation yourself. However, there are some additional important findings that you need to be aware of. The kids who were from the authoritative household, which is the household where the parent held them accountable, showed them love and warmth and affection, the parents were in charge pretty much, but the kids were assertive. And the authoritarian household where the parents didn't show much love and affection, but they say, look, I'm the boss, you better do your schoolwork. There's no question about it. Those kids from those two groups tended to do well academically. Their scores were higher than for the other two groups of kids. The kids, though, who came from the I am the boss, I am the parent, do it because I say so, their self-concept were a lot lower than all the others. So there is some benefit in allowing your kids to be assertive as they express themselves. And assertiveness is stating what they want, stating their opinions respectfully, and you still being in charge or being the parent instead of being the one that's being run over. Hey there, Asha. Thanks for joining. Now, the kids that came from neglectful homes, that is, the parent were completely hands-off, they showed a lot of tendencies to be subjected to peer pressure. They would run off and do whatever their friends would ask them to do. Kids who were authoritative or authoritarian showed more self-control. They also had higher instances of substance abuse from the indulgent homes. That is, you show love to your kids and you show warmth, but your hands off and they can run wild and do whatever they want to do. There is a higher instance of substance abuse there. So we're talking here today about how you can raise your kids to empower them to make better choices as they grow older. Now, there's no guarantee, as I said, because you can find two kids in the exact same household being subjected to the same resources, empowerment, or trauma, and yet they grow up on completely different paths. They choose different arenas, and their life circumstances end up differently. So clearly, your kids have a choice in the type of lifestyle that they will choose. However, though, bear in mind that before they even get to the point of consciously making a choice for their life, your impact can be felt in terms of how you parent. Now, there's also another data. The kids who came from the authoritarian home, I am the boss, you do as I say, or you leave, those kids had a greater tendency to be aggressive. And they had a greater tendency to act out whatever the problems or the issues were. They either internalized it more or they acted it out more. And the kids from the indulgent and neglectful homes tend not to perform as well in school. So you don't want to say, do whatever you please, I'm your friend. I'll get you anything you want. Mwah, 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 love you, love you, love you. Instead, the style of parenting that seems to always work better or best, regardless of the race and gender, is that authoritative style. Now, they did find that the kids who lived in rougher neighborhoods, that the authoritarian style might have some benefits for them. But in general, from a well-rounded, stable home, taking on the authoritative style, which is the style that says, I am the mother, I am the parent. You're not going to verbalize this, but by virtue of holding them accountable, that you can establish who is in charge. You're going to have high love, high accountability, high warmth. You're going to be sure that their needs are basically met and that you are consistently displaying love and involvement in whatever it is that's going on in their lives. So considering those four styles of parenting now, you might have identified where you are. And now you may be asking yourself, well, now, what are some of the things that I can do to make sure that my kids are doing what they need to do? And this is where my book comes in. I have actually written this book with 101 success tips that will give you those premise, those thoughts, those conversations, those organizations on how to establish it in your home. I even give you a conversation to have because you've already had a pattern in your family of how you're doing business. And now this would be changing business as usual. I even give you a conversation that you can have with your kids to say, hey, you know what? We've been going this route. This is what I want. And I outline the conversation for you to have. Now, as I said, the book will be established or published very shortly, and you will have an opportunity to download this book at minimal to no cost very soon. So I am going to leave on this link, on this broadcast, a link so that you can click and to be notified when this book will be published, so you can go and get your download and have this incredible resource as a part of what you are doing. So now I thank you for joining me, and I know that I see a couple people on here. Some of you will be watching later. This is incredibly valuable if you've got kids. If you know anyone who has children, even if they're as young as 2 years old, they can benefit from the tips here, because now you don't have to change anything. You can start with a great foundation and build from there. So pass the word along, share this video with your friends, with your relatives, with anyone, and share the link so that they can have access to that notification when the book is published. And for you, what I want you to do today is to carefully think about what processes you have been putting in place at home. What have you been saying to your kids? What have you been doing with them? What have you not been doing with them? What have you been leaving up to them to decide? And then as you watch this video, go back and start making some changes in your home, because those changes will greatly impact the course of life your children will have, not just now, but in the future. Thank you very much for joining me. And I see Asha just sent me a quick message. Somehow the print is mirror image, so we cannot see the name of the book. Yes, I know that. And if you were on the call a little earlier or on this cast, I did say that. And for the chart, it's mirror image as well. I don't know why Facebook Live does this. And normally I print my copies reverse image so that when I put it up, you can read it. However, I couldn't do that for the book, naturally. So yes, it's called Single Moms from Striving to Thriving 101 Success Tips. So that is the book, and I'm going to leave a link there. And I thank you all for joining me. Have the most amazing Monday, and I will see you tomorrow. Love you guys.